Banda, can't we see you?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the July 15th, 2020 regularly scheduled Downtown Development Authority meeting. Thank you for your time this evening to join us in our regular monthly. So, Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Tony LaPuma.
Here.
Paul Haig.
Here.
Bob Bloomingdale. Jason
Here.
Rewald. Chris Johnson. Lisa Germani Williams.
Here.
Candace Van Slembrook.
Here.
Oh, Bob Bloomingdale is here. Marilyn Trent.
Here.
Mayor Bixton.
Here.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. And let's just get after it, shall we? Approval of the meeting minutes. We've got 2 minutes on the agenda to be approved. One from the last regular meeting on June 17, 2020, and one for the special meeting on June 24, 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Motion by Haig, support.
I'll support it.
Support by LaPuma. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Excellent. Audience comments. Well, it's just us. So I've got a bunny in the background since I'm sitting outside, and some kids in the court playing ball. So I can call them over if they want, but I don't see any audience, so we shall move forward. Liaison reports. City Council Ann Peterson, she sent a note just a little bit ago that she would not be able to attend this evening. So I don't know, Mayor, if you wanted to do
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
freestyle.
I actually have the agenda right in front of me.
Excellent.
So we had another legislative update from Senator McMorrow, who was talking about things in the state, and they're trying to improve the unemployment situation. I guess there's still a lot of people who haven't gotten unemployment, and they're moving forward with the plan to have the open liquor thing moving forward. So that's good. We had an extension of the landmark tree moratorium. Ben would probably remember some of that stuff. We're still talking about trees.
It's one of the reasons why I'm not on council anymore.
Right. So we funded the budget. We'd had a hold on all budget things in the city, but we funded the budget for City Beautiful and the historical. So we decided to move forward with that. The Public Works building is moving right along, and it should be done this fall. That's on budget. So that's good. And then the last thing is we did an amendment to the city manager's contract was going to be up in October, and we took off the October thing and basically gave the city manager a vote of confidence because we consider him, the council, that he's doing a good job. So hopefully he's going to be with us for a long time. So we amended his contract to take off any kind of time constraint that was on there. And that's pretty much it.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Anybody have any questions for the mayor?
Okay.
Seeing none, we shall move forward. Chamber of Commerce, Madam Trent.
We just have a couple of things. One of them is we have our annual golf tournament on August 17th this year. It's from 7:30 to 3:30 p.m. It's open to anyone that wants to golf at Great Oaks Country Club. So more information is on the website at RRC.
You're cutting out there, Marilyn.
Uh-oh.
Contact the Chamber of Commerce. Am I cutting out? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Cutting
you're
out?
back now.
I'm back. Okay. You can contact the Chamber of Commerce by calling 248-651-6700. We're also we didn't have a meeting this month. We usually don't. And next month in August, we will be working on a 5-year strategic plan. And we'll have a lot of great things to talk about after that. And one more thing we have for the members. You can fill out a survey, get a free lunch with community members. And one of them is Julie Nicholson, Mayor Brian Burnett, the CEO of Chief Financial Credit Union, Tom DeLuzin, Frank and Jason Rewald, and Paul Glantz, Chairman of Imagine Entertainment, and Mike Randolph, PAR, Senior Vice President of PAR Pharmaceutical. So if you're not a member, you know, you need to be one.
Pays to be a member, right?
Marilyn, I have a question.
Yes, sir, please.
Where are the free lunches?
I haven't been told yet. But next survey, if you want to be one of the community leaders to have a free lunch with someone, you can. We'll put you on that list. It might be a celebrity list of
It's a deal. Okay.
who gets to be a community leader with a
Yeah.
lunch.
Too funny. All right. Well, thank you for that update. We appreciate it. Historical Commission, Don Sinkowitz. Don is in North Carolina, I understand, and has horrific internet and cell phone connection. So he extends his apologies. He will not be with us this evening, but he has, according to our director, reached out to Christy and said if there's any marching orders to let him know, and we absolutely will do that. So we appreciate that. Principal Shopping District, Candace, I understand you had no meeting, but if you have anything else you'd like to bring up, please, it's your time.
No, I don't have anything, but our meeting has been postponed to next Tuesday. So stay tuned in our next meeting.
Got it. All right, fantastic. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, so that's our liaison reports. Going to the general business agenda, 6A, Nick. Oh, Nick is here.
I'm here, yeah.
Good. Economic development update.
Yeah,
Take it away.
In some crappy times, I'm gonna give you some good news here. So let's start with, we'll start with the not so great news, but we didn't lose a whole lot so far. We've got Christy will jump into if I forget somebody, but we had a couple of new businesses that let us know they weren't gonna reopen or re-up. One was Club Educate, which was down the old Rah-Rah building. They had a pretty big chunk. I think it was after school programs. Obviously that's pretty difficult to do. So they are not opening. I know the $10 boutique place, they were gonna open, then they weren't gonna close, then they weren't, then they were. Now I think they're going out, but they were pre-COVID. They were struggling anyway. So we know that they're gonna go. Naps, we're waiting for Naps to reopen. It looks like it's going to reopen. We haven't heard, Christy or I haven't heard from the gentleman that was gonna do the macaron store in the Three Dog Bakery. Last I heard, he had signed a lease and we were just waiting for building drawings for him. And it was what, 3 weeks ago, Christy talked to us and said he was still moving forward. So yeah, so I'm going to suspect that he'll get rolling here. So that's good. Any other ones that closed, Christy, that I'm missing there?
No, I think we mentioned it at one of the previous meetings. Detroit Deli had elected to not reopen.
Them, Friendship Factory and Modern Jewelry moved, but that was a couple of months ago. So, all right, so here's the good ones. Paint Creek Tavern, Casey and Bill Cruz, open now to the public, rocking it out. They're very happy. Wolverine Construction is building a 3-story building on Pine Street. You can see it as you come into the police department. He sold the first condominium there's 3 condominiums, and then his company, Wolverine Construction, will take all the office on the first floor. And then he sold 1 unit already for, I believe, $850,000. So that's great tax base for us. The brick starts going on tomorrow, so they're excited to do that. Armand and Lisa over at the Brunch House had purchased 226 Walnut, the old church. You can see the scaffolding up there. They're busy working away. I talked to the lead landscape architect, and he can't wait to get rolling on that. So they're fast underway to get that baby open. It's really a European style coffee house, cafe. It should be wonderful. Ferndale and Glendale, the vacant piece on the west side of the property, Mr. Schneider today brought plans in for 6 kind of like duplexes. They look like brownstone, gray stones. They're separated by a little bit to meet the ordinance, but they're 3-story units, all residential, no office this time. He's excited to go, and Planning Commission will hear that in August and September, and he could break ground in November and get some residential property that would help feed downtown. So that's great.
That's
Under
great.
the bridge, the South Bridge, there's a little property that has been owned by Mr. Jonathan Crane since the 80s, I believe, and two young gentlemen have a purchase agreement to buy that property. Went to the Planning Commission. They want to build a 4-story building that looks much like Bond Desk, or it's the same height as Bond Desk. Mayor saw it at the Planning Commission, and pretty contemporary building, and they got through their engineering pre-review, and I think they're submitting for September, October. So it'll be a spring build if the Planning Commission sees the way. That's 40 apartments, which would be great. Dr. Atala is coming back next Thursday to the Planning Commission to finalize the amendments to his drawings for 134 University, which would be 13 apartments on the upper floor above Recipes, and then Recipes, and then the financial institution stays on the first floor, and then 13 more apartments in the basement with garden style windows being built in, upgraded landscaping, handicap accessibility, and Dr. Tal, we came to an agreement with him. So he's already gutted the inside of the building so he could start reconstruction right after next Thursday, actually. I met with Fred Toma today at the BP. And if you look now, you can see all the columns are all squared in, the facades being squared in. The stone will start going on the building next week. So he also decided to tear out all the landscaping and landscape the entire site at the corner of the BP. I think that's going to look spectacular. I met with US Scuba Purchasers, which is Chief Financial. They were going to tear that down and build a 3-story building, half in the hills and half in Rochester. And they've rethought that now, and they're going to keep their administrative building behind it and take US Scuba and turn it into a branch and spend significant money to upgrade that. That will go to the Planning Commission. We're trying to get in for the September meeting. We're going to probably try to have a joint meeting of the Planning Commissions of Rochester Hills and Rochester so that we can work out how we're going to make that happen. So it looks like a pretty good project. Met with Mr. Rewald again, and they're moving forward on the elevator site with a signature office building. Some kind of exciting news there. I'm not allowed to divulge too much there, but Frank's looking forward to continue work on that. He's working very closely with the potential tenant on a fast track. Tide Cleaners is the steel went up today on University where Jerry's gun shop was. They're under construction and moving along quite fast. I think that's it for construction, but our new building official is being kept busy. And that's on top of the homes that are coming in. And people are remodeling and new homes, mostly remodeling. They're additions and remodels, not so much tear downs right now. So we got a couple of those, but things are looking good. And I think we're going to do just fine here.
Well, that is all good stuff. In the depths of despair of COVID-19, it shows that people are still being optimistic and investing in us, which is obviously a no-brainer as far as we're concerned, right? But it is great news. So nicely done, Nick and Christy, both. You guys just trying to keep that stuff going. So
and one more, which is a big one, actually. Mr. and I know the mayor just found this out that. Mr. Randazzo has resubmitted plans, has modified his site plan for the end of Walnut first, took down some units, put the building back, split them up, and he's going for a shot to get approved for 134 units in 2 phases at the August meeting. So, and that could be a decision. And then that would go to the city council for special projects. So that's a big one. That's north of $50 million. So we'll see how that goes. He's trying to compromise, and I hope that he's worked out enough with the Planning Commission to move it on to sit down. There you go.
Huh. That's great. I think that one Planning Commission meeting is one that I had attended, the prior one when they talked about that apartment going up on next to Bond Desk there, and that thing looked fantastic. So I'm really glad to see that.
Mr. Chairman, 2 things not related to development necessarily, but very important. We are down to 2 finalists for 2 things: the traffic study that the Planning Commission and City Council want to have us have our own baseline traffic GIS tool, so that when developers come in, they don't have to do a traffic study. They pay to go into our system, and then we can validate what they're talking about for numbers when we make evaluations to try to decide on traffic impact for items at the planning commission. Number one. Number two, city council will interview the two finalists for the master plan. The DDA will be extremely important and involved in the master plan project with the entire community in the next 9 months. So city council will interview them on the 27th. We'll pick a firm and we'll move forward with that also. So not a boring time right now, that's for sure.
That's fantastic. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Dick with respect to biz dev?
Thank you.
Seeing none, moving forward. Nick, you're also on, and Mr. Bloomingdale as well. Give us an outdoor dining platform update. They are like rabbits popping up all over the city. I have been seeing them. So take it away, whoever, whichever.
Yeah,
I'd be pleased to comment on it, Nick.
Go ahead.
Pile on your good news that I think it's going very, very well. We're on schedule and on budget, which is, not always typical for projects, especially things that are not done before. Of course, there's always a few speed bumps on the road to progress. And Nick and Christy have done a very good job of managing those little issues. So we continue to adapt and improvise. We're going to deliver the last of the predetermined place decks tomorrow for the bus bar. And we have all of the decks, the double decks are now up and operational at the Meeting House, the Marcos, the Brunch House, Tooraloo. They're all looking fantastic. So like you said, we're on budget and on schedule. And I'm very pleased to have been part of it. And I'm also very pleased to see it come to an end.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, we've got Tanya's, Victorian Rose, and Zoot. Those are single platforms, and the platforms are on the ground. They're just waiting for their touch-ups. And like Bob said, Boss Bar is the last one that we know of. So it's been interesting. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I know you guys had some issues with shimming and stuff. So
yeah,
as Nick would say, not only does no good deed go unpunished, no good deed goes unquestioned.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
good
Bob,
way
I
to
got to
go.
say that it looks great. Okay.
Looks good. Tooraloo's, they put plants out by theirs. It really looks like $1,000,000.
Yeah.
Looks great. I agree.
Yeah, we got to talk about Chris. Chris has got two very wispy palm trees out there, so I'm sure he'll step his game up there. But he just
His umbrellas are supposed to be coming. Actually, if they're not there today, they'll be there tomorrow if they haven't shown up yet.
Exactly.
Looks good though.
Yep. I saw the
and it's just
farmers out on Tooraloo's deck tonight. So
a brunch house. people
Nice,
eat it.
really nice.
Yeah, I like umbrellas. They look good.
Yeah.
They did.
yes,
They
you
had-
do. We know that.
they look good. People were already at the tables, and that was nice.
Yeah, I drove through probably around 2 or 3 this afternoon in front of Brunch House, and they were there was a guy in a pickup truck unloading all their stuff, putting their tables and chairs and all their decorations out. So it's exciting, and I think people seeing that, it's just going to create that vibe that we're trying to get. That hey, it is what it is, but it's still okay to come out and hang out and enjoy yourself. So
Yeah,
that's great.
Liz told Christy and I funny anecdote that she thought she was going to build that enclosed glass atrium. She got approved by the planning commission. Landlord was having trouble with it. Thinking she was going to build it, she sold all of her tables and chairs from outside.
Oh dear.
She tried to buy them back for the deck, and the guy's like,
Oh,
"Nice
shoot.
try." So she got
Oh.
all the new stuff.
yeah, they actually have a beautiful spot underneath that shade tree with their dining platforms. That's a fantastic.
Yeah, the big oak.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones in town. I will be honest. I'm mildly jealous of that spot. So we'll be out there having something to eat soon. Fantastic. So both good news. I will take these meeting agenda items every single meeting. So make sure we have them, right?
Okay.
Outdoor seating mini grant. So let's get to the part where we talk about spending some more money. Madam Director.
Yes. So at our last meeting, we had 2 applications for consideration. And in addition to that, there was a long discussion that was had about not just the process, but the policy. That these were intended to incent new outdoor seating opportunities, whether restaurants, salons, or retail, whatever. But there were one of the projects, the bench had already been ordered prior to us offering the program. So that was the question. So the question that Chairman Giovanelli had asked me to pose to the city attorney was, does the DDA have the authority to, number one, make exceptions or flex a little bit with what we can do within the policy, or can we just straight up change the policy. And in speaking with Attorney Crott, he confirmed, and I forwarded this to both Nick and to Ben, that it is our policy. It is not an ordinance. It is strictly a policy of our board. So as such, the DDA board has the authority to bend, flex, and change it at its discretion. So that was the question I needed to bring back to you. So what I had put together for the agenda tonight is, number one, we needed to discuss with the board first if you would like to make changes, decide collectively if we're going to flex or not, set certain dates of when things would have had to have been started, ordered, something like that, or do nothing. Once we settle that, then we still have, we have one that we have to bring back from last month, which was tabled, which is the Kimmy K. And then I have the Bologna, which was included in your packet, and then the Rochester Medical Center, which came in today. It was delayed in the mail, so I had emailed that out to everybody this afternoon. So that is my framing of the discussion, and I will now turn it back to the chairman.
Got it. Okay, so I guess first things first, let's go ahead and have a discussion about the actual policy itself, and then we can get into the minutia. So does anybody have an opinion on the policy itself, knowing what the city attorney has opined based on our questions last meeting?
Mr. Chairman, since
Madam, please go.
do recall I brought this up, maybe.
Yeah, sure, right?
I will opine a bit. I would, if it's fine to change it, it's fine with me if we decide to set a date or something that would make this consistent to what the attorney said we could do. Like decide that we'll set, I don't know, mid-May, or I don't know how specific we need to be, but I felt like we did need to have some guidance on what the next steps would be when something comes in that's not in the guidelines.
Point taken. I think his
I don't
point
know.
was is we could basically do whatever we want. So
Yeah.
whether we set a date or
That's
not,
right.
it's every single one of these stands on its own. So which, you know, sort of, does anybody else have any thoughts? Oh, come on, people.
But I got a thought.
Okay, go ahead.
No, Christy, you had a thought. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to mention that I know for this, it was really to incent or to accommodate for people that had to do things to react to COVID. And I think that all of these meet that level, even though they might have been things that they had planned on originally, but maybe had been waiting for. Now they decided to do it. In the case of the bench with Kimmy K, she would have never ordered it had COVID not been happening. She doesn't, because she didn't need an outdoor waiting room until now. So I think maybe that is the level also, in addition to a date. Maybe it's that something that, was some that is being spurred by COVID. So
I would say that's a good definitive reason to okay it.
Yeah.
I have
Anybody else? Candace, please.
I completely agree. I think amending our rules and guidelines for this is something that we should be looking at. And if a business is wanting to have us look at something and approve something that's going back and retroacting in consideration for this, I think that we should be honoring that and taking it into consideration due to the fact that they were still struggling in this time period and they took initiative to think outside of the box, take the extra step to try and accommodate for the situations that we have at hand. And I agree with a date maybe we should go back to, but I do want to, I feel like we should approve things like this, that we know they have taken this step an extra mile during this time, knowing that this program wasn't even available at that time. I don't think it's something that they're trying to take advantage of. I think they're just trying to understand what these grants are and know that they can be met and approved if it's something that has to do with COVID and of course bringing more people into the city.
You're here. Anybody else?
I agree.
Okay, I see a lot of nodding of heads. The take from the chair is I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr.
Please,
Chairman.
go ahead. It's okay, go.
Third, I would like a date so it doesn't go back a year, or, something that's not a gray area. We're going to spend 10 minutes trying to figure out, well, did they know COVID was going to happen? And they got together and they ordered something in March. And then we have to sit around, we have to pontificate a bit. And then, it's just, if it's just a date, it hasn't, it's finite.
Got it.
And then you can
Anybody?
discuss whether you want to change that date.
Yeah, right. I know, it's trying to solve problems all the time. Okay, so anybody else?
Yeah. Well,
Mr. Mayor?
I think there should be a finite date as well.
Okay.
So if they did something for COVID, that's great. You know, we'll go back, but you know, it shouldn't go back anytime before, I don't know, April 1st or something like that.
I was, as you guys were talking about it, it was, if we're going to go ahead and stick a stake in the ground as to date, maybe it's the date that the governor declared the state of emergency with respect to COVID, which I
Yeah.
think was mid-March. So March 24th or whatever date that was. Is that sufficient for everybody?
That sounds reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Okay. Okay, good. So we'll do that. And then we'll assume, all right, so I don't know the exact date. So Chrissy or Madam
it.
Secretary, if you could pull it, but I want to say it was like March 23rd or 24th or something like that. I mean, it's very easy to find. It's whatever day the governor's order was to basically shut down.
Sorry, one more thing.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Is this-
Go.
oh, just a question. This is already.
Okay, got it.
this
Yeah,
might
no,
be
it's good.
a finite answer. Today's the last day, right? Today's the last day? That-
Yes.
Today is the last day. That was one thing I had on my list once we got through all of this, if the board did want to extend it, or if we are just saying that
Yes.
we're done. So
No, anybody have any thoughts on the extension?
Actually, I do. And what it is that if this COVID goes back to stage 2 or whatever, and then people want to put in more restrictive, you know, they want to put in other things that would help with this, then I think we ought to extend the date based on what their plans could be. But if it gets worse, then we should, and as you said, the number of deaths are way down.
Yeah.
So I think we should base it on what level we're going to be at. And I would say, I would set that when we're at level 5, we should not take any more grants, period. What level are we on right now? 3?
We're 4 right now.
4.
That's actually a good idea. I was going to suggest maybe the end of the month, because I don't know how widely we published the fact that it was, you know, expiring this week. As we sit here, I had totally forgotten that, to be honest with you. So, but I like your idea, Paul, of as long as they're at 4 or lower, it will continue once we go to level 5. Then
And it's done.
yeah. How does anybody feel about that? Any other ideas?
That's a great idea.
Good idea. This outdoor seating's keeping, especially us while we're so busy, as we increased our seating outside. Cruz and Muir's across the river from us, that's saving him too. So I think we should keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, every restaurant I look at, especially on Facebook or any kind of social media, they're all just, you know, we got tons of room outside, come outside, enjoy the outdoors. So, so my take is that, and to recap, just so we're clear, the period, the default period for us, knowing that we can change anything we want to whenever we want with respect to this, the default period is the day that the governor announced the lockdown restrictions in Michigan, which was sometime in the second or third week.
23rd, I just confirmed.
There you go, March 23rd.
Mhm.
And then up until the time we go to level 5, that grant will be available,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Okay, Madam Recording Secretary, do you need a motion to that effect, or is just us having the discussion good enough?
I think you can just do it by consensus if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think it's pretty clear. This is a recorded meeting and it'll be in the notes. So I think it's just clarifying pre-existing, and to the city attorney's point before, it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. So, right. Okay, great. So problem solved there. So to that end, we've got 3 on the docket: Kimmy K, Bologna, and the medical center. So I guess taking them one at a time. We've already talked about Kimmy K. So did we want to do each of these separately, Madam Recording
separately.
Secretary? Separately? Okay, fine. So let's go ahead and have a discussion about Kimmy K. I think we already sort of know what that's all about. This is just to pick that one back up. So any discussion? Or is there a motion in our future?
I'll make the motion to go ahead and okay the payment to Kimmy K as directed in the notes.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Haig, seconded by Germani Williams. Any debate or questions and discussion? Seeing none, we are spending money. So Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Marilyn Trent,
Yes.
Candace Van Slembrook,
Yes.
Tony LaPuma,
Yes.
Paul Haig,
Yes.
Lisa Germani Williams,
Yes.
Bob Bloomingdale,
Yes.
Mayor Bixon,
Yes.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Yes.
Passed.
All right, fantastic. Sub 2, Bologna via Cocina. Madam
Yeah.
Director.
Danny is in your packet, put together a very robust packet to explain what he wants to do in the very small space at the back of his building. I might toss it to Nick for a minute because I know that he's been talking to Nick about it. Nick, are you there?
He's here, but he's on mute.
I know. I can't unmute him. He has to unmute himself because I didn't mute him.
Is that me?
That's
Yeah,
you.
Blaine just came in with some good news, so he's doing a happy dance, which you'll hear later.
Why,
what
he
was the
got his
question? I'm
contract
sorry.
extended?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, his contract got extended.
No, we were Bologna's.
Bologna's, what about it?
The outdoor dining. You've been working with Danny on the back. Did you
Yeah.
want to make any comment on the grant?
No, it was approved by the Planning Commission 2 years ago, actually. And under his bistro license, he has to have outside dining. We took away his front outside dining years ago. So we were and it took him a while to get the actual physical structure built last summer. So he missed the time to put equipment outside. So I am in support of this. We would love to have that outside. If we could help him, I think that's great. He's been a stalwart through this whole thing. He stayed open and fought through all this. So I give him credit.
And his plan is well thought through, so.
It is.
Anybody else have any thoughts? Or a motion in our future?
I'll make the motion to okay Bologna.
I'll second.
Motion by Haig and support by Trent. Any further discussion?
May I have clarification as to the amount? Is it up to the 3,000?
Up
It's
to the,
correct.
excuse me, I will make a motion to okay up to the 3,000.
Subject to the rules of the reimbursement according to
Subject.
the
Thank you.
resolution. Yeah.
Thank you. Exactly what I said.
Any further discussion? Madam Secretary of the roll.
Bob Bloomingdale,
Yes.
Marilyn Trent,
Yes.
Candace Van Slembrook,
Yes.
Tony LaPuma,
Yes.
Paul Haig,
Yes.
Lisa Germani Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Bixon,
Yes.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Yes.
Motion pass.
Excellent. Okay, lastly is our friend, Dr. Atala in the Medical Center. Madam Director.
Yes, I received this in the mail today. I have a feeling it was postmarked last week, so I think just the mail still is catching up some days on something. This is actually a project that Nick was working on with Dr. Atala and encouraged him to apply. So I'm gonna see if I can get Nick's attention again. Nick, don't pay attention to Blaine, pay attention to us.
Yeah, he's still.
So
he's
It
still
is,
doing the
you may
happy dance.
recall that there was a gazebo behind Pink Creek Tavern. And when the Cruz family was able to lease that, Dr. Atala elected to move that out, and now it's more on street. Nick, there you are. Hi.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to do 6 things at once, unfortunately. So I have not approved anything officially yet, but we can get a drawing from him. And again, great location north of University. Happy. I told Doc, reach out to the board. I think that's an outstanding. To go with Bill, like Tony said, to go with Bill's outside dining and Tony's outside dining, you have a nice little spot. Anybody can stop at. I'm probably gonna have him put a sidewalk or a mulch path to get from the sidewalk to the gazebo. I don't know if it was on the drawing they gave you, Christy, or is it just?
He literally gave me an overhead shot of the gazebo and then he gave me a little handwritten thing that he sent me via email today that wasn't super helpful. So I figured you could add a little color to the discussion yourself.
So how about if the board, if you choose to approve it with that he would be required to put either a concrete or a mulch path connection to the public sidewalk as a condition of your approval.
Could,
Candace, please.
Where exactly is this located? I can't tell
Between,
from the picture.
yeah, just, you know where the old beer garden was? That wasn't really ever a beer garden, but a beer garden. Right
Yeah.
next to that, Doc when Bill and Casey redid the outside dining, they took the gazebo Doc had at the riverside and then it's so brand new basically and brought it out by Main Street as just a pretty site, but really wasn't using it. Now there's an opportunity with tables and chairs and connected at the public.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Paul. Oh, did they answer your question, Candace?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Paul Haig.
And my question is, Nick, how many people can they seat in that? And if this is for seating,
Yeah.
for out dining, I just don't see the size of that being
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, I think we'd have to, if I approved it, I'd have to put appropriate social distancing. I think it's got benches around it, so we'd have to put X's every 6 feet on the benches.
Nick, we
I
can't hear
never
you.
saw a drawing. Yeah, I never saw a drawing, so. Not yet.
And what is the size of it?
It's gotta be. It's pretty, I would guess 10 by 10.
Okay, so we could put basically one
got you,
table
Miller.
in there.
Yeah, either one table or just benches where people could sit, and then you could spread them out, probably 4 or 6 people as a family, they can all sit together, obviously, but. If
It's a lot of money for that project.
Wait a minute.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, no, I had you, Marilyn. I just was waiting.
All
Marilyn
right,
Trent,
yeah,
please.
fine. I was waiting for everyone to finish. Just a couple of things. It has a commercial garbage can on there. I thought, aren't we specific on what we'll cover? And then it has paint touch-ups. I thought it was furniture, signage, is it seating, or I don't know, it's repeated twice, lighting. And I didn't know, and maybe it is, and maybe this is our leeway, that it's commercial garbage cans and insulation and paint touch-ups. And the other thing is, some people are giving more detail than others. And I wanted to ask about that as we move along, and if we're extending that, do we say, just send us a receipt or kind of the estimates that you're getting, just as a backup? That's all.
Yep, good point. Anybody else?
Hey, a quick question for Nick.
Yeah, go.
Nick, is this administrative approval, or would this have to go to planning commission for?
No,
any
we're
reason?
gonna call it administrative because it's outdoor seating like that. So I can do administrative.
So if the board is inclined to approve this, it would be subject to approval by city administration in addition to the requirement to add a walkway?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else?
have something
Okay.
else.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just looking at the email with the breakdown of the pricing, do we know where these costs came from? Like,
If I was going to take a guess, I believe that it is Dr. Atala's estimate.
Yes.
okay.
We can fix it. We can fix that easy. So that's an easy one to fix. Anybody else? I'm sorry, Tony, please go.
Chrissy, is there a way we can keep these people honest? Do we ask for receipts for all this or no?
Yes, they do have to provide receipts before we write them a check. That's always been the policy of any of our grants. And we also have to look at it after they put it up to make sure it's what they said it was going to be as well, to make sure that we're paying for the right things.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay, my take is that this is the first one we've done north of University, so that's important. I'm still waiting for the one from the Pumas to come through. I haven't seen that one yet, but I know it's
I'm working on something.
I know, right? I bet you. But no, so in addition to sort of the restaurants, the main thing we wanted to do is encourage outdoor seating in general, places for people to congregate outside, and this is clearly one of those things. I think that if the board felt it in their thoughts to go ahead and approve this, we would make it subject to obviously receipts and the approval to what everybody's talked about. It would be up to the $3,000 given the rules of engagement with respect to it. So if he comes in with receipts for $2,000 or $4,000, he's only going to get $2,000, that sort of thing. But my take is that this is a good, useful use of space that's sort of dead. It's a place for people to sort of sit and gather. I would want to make sure that people know that it's okay to go there. Because I know that when my kids were at the dojo, Rochester Martial Arts, Dr. Atala's people used to get pissed when people parked in the parking lot there. So I just want to make sure that there's, and it's fine, I get it, but I just want to make sure that there's some sort of acknowledgement that there's this is a public gathering space, and if you want to sit there and eat ice cream or eat your hot dog, it's a good spot to do that. So
I think you could put that as condition of approval.
yeah.
Good.
So that's my thoughts. Is there a motion in the future, or did you guys want to wait to see more better, as they say, with respect to plans and numbers? It's really the board's call.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Would the path be included in that estimate? Could the path be included that he has to put in?
With the number that he's already more than exceeded the $3,000 match. So whether it's in or out, he still wouldn't get any more funds.
In order for it to be approved, it would have to include that. So
it's going to increase his price, but we won't be increasing our reimbursement because he's already at the max level if his estimates that he provided are correct.
You said that, this is a public space and anyone can sit there. Is that true of any of the other decks?
No, because those are
Well-
attached to restaurants.
Okay, so this being an unattached, but on his private property,
Mhm.
what's the ruling on that?
That'd be a Nick question.
Yeah, I think we're gonna tell him if he wants our public money, that it should be open to the public. It's not
Right.
associated with Silver Spoon or the tavern, it's just on that property. And he told me when he initially put it out there, he looked forward to the public just sitting there and enjoying, looking at Main Street. So if we say we're putting our money into it, we certainly can tie it up that way.
I would tie it up that way.
If he doesn't, if he wants it to be private, then we'll come back. We can make it a condition that if he doesn't follow any of the conditions you put on, then he has to come back to the board and explain.
Okay,
yep. So open to the public, limited to the $3,000 with the sidewalk entrance and receipts proving. Well, that's with everybody. Is the receipts proving the expenses? Is there anything else that I missed in that one?
is there a duration of time that somebody has to spend and get this done?
Yes, in the guideline, hold on, grab one of my other packets here, hold on. That once approved, right now it says everything has to be completed by July 31st, but now that we've extended everything, we'll have to change that date as well.
To the last day of the
Yeah.
level
The
4.
last day of the move, before the move to phase 5.
Right.
So what you're saying in that is that, I'm sorry, Marilyn, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Paul.
What you're saying in that is that he could extend the time he's doing this to whatever time. Shouldn't we put more finite time on it, like say 30 days?
Well, if we're giving only him 30 days to complete it,
Oh, then it could,
But-
Cucina to Bologna, okay.
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
we have to give everybody the same.
Right, no,
Because
I understand.
we approved Cupcake Station and they haven't started yet.
Right, I'm sorry,
So-
that's unreasonable to ask that.
Anybody else, Marilyn?
Isn't it true
Yeah.
that you don't get paid until it's complete anyhow?
Right. That's
Yes,
exactly right.
and it's provided and it's reviewed. And if there's anything that is not the way that it was supposed to be, then you have to come to the board and answer for that. Yes.
Okay,
So to be clear, this $3,000 matching grant, if a business puts in any type of seating, they, like the Kimmy something salon, Kimmy Ken or whatever the name of the salon is. So that bench even can be used by anyone. And the Bologna, probably not, because they are serving people. And Katala, he has to, because he isn't.
Atalas is a little bit of a unicorn only because it's not a gazebo for a restaurant or for a business. It's literally on his grassy area, which there really aren't many businesses that actually have a grassy area to place outdoor seating. So his is a little bit more of a unicorn. Danny and Cupcake Station are both restaurant related. I think the Benji Kimmy K, if someone else was sitting on it, I don't think that they're going to come kick them off of it. But it's a small bench sitting looking at an alley, so I don't know if it's that desirable and inviting, but because she only did that, she didn't do other things to go with it. But I don't think she'd kick anybody out. But the ones that are attached to restaurants, I think those are different because those are,
And tied to liquor licenses.
right,
generally.
right.
Well, for instance, Lana from Who was thinking she would put a table out there, but she would make it with an umbrella and make it available to people who just wanted to sit down.
She already has it. She already has a table back there right now, so I don't know where she'd put one. But yeah, that's the idea. That's why you made it not outdoor, you said outdoor seating. Yeah, she's had a table out there for years.
Yeah,
So-
you know your alleys, Christy. You know everything.
She's our neighbor, so I see it when I
That's
go to
right.
work.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. She's your neighbor now.
She's our
yeah,
neighbor.
she does. I think was talking about maybe replacing it with something nicer, friendlier to be, more
Yeah.
available. Well, anyway.
But yes. Mhm.
Okay, anybody else have any words of wisdom and thoughts to share with all of us? Is there a motion in our future or some sort of decision to move this one along?
So moved.
Moved by the mayor, and I presume that motion includes the sidewalk that we talked about, exact receipts, and public use of the space.
Right.
And subject to approval of city administration.
That's right. Yep, precisely. Is there support for the mayor's motion?
I'll support it.
Support by Candace Van Slimbrock. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Recording Secretary, the roll, please.
Lisa Germani Williams,
Yes.
Paul Haig,
Yes.
Tony LaPuma,
Yes.
Candace Van Slembrook,
Yes.
Marilyn Trent,
Yes.
Bob Bloomingdale,
Yes.
Mayor Bixon,
Yes.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Very good. We're just blowing through money, people. This is horrific, to be honest with you. No, I'm just kidding. It's all what we said we wanted to do. 6D, additional outdoor space activations. That would be me and Christy. Madam Director, you want to start and I'll backfill?
Sure. So after we had decided, we had a lot of discussion about this, whether it was parklets or using some other additional spaces. Marilyn put together some cool proposals for some of the outdoor space that is around the west parking structure. We had kind of put that on the back burner until we got outdoor platforms done and then got the mini grant rolling. So now here we are. So I guess that the question is right now, do we want to pursue more outdoor gathering places, whether that's, setting out some tables, doing a little placemaking, having the parklet discussion again, whatever that looks like. I know in speaking with Chief Schettenhelm, with everything going on right now, he, even though he's always very supportive of us, he urged us to be cautious of how many areas we're creating to encourage gathering, just because of how everything is right now and everyone's very hypersensitive to things, and to make sure if we are doing it that we're keeping in mind that it must be social distanced and those types of things. So he just wanted to make sure that that was put into the conversation of wherever we would go from there.
Got it. It's the chief's job to be the chief fun buster, so that's good.
But he
he's
tries
the
to
voice
be
of.
supportive.
I know. No, I tease. He's absolutely right. Anybody else have any thoughts on the outdoor spaces? Marilyn, of course. I would be remiss if you did
I'll
not
let
chime in on
anybody
this
else talk first. I don't have to be the first one.
one. Okay.
All right,
Anybody
Marilyn,
else
I'll
have any-
talk first. Marilyn,
Okay.
would you give us your opinion, please?
Well, now that you brought it up, okay. So there are, assuming this chief is talking about extra places, not what we currently have. And so I was thinking about this, and I thought, we have these lovely places, and Chief Cheltenham had talked about having Rochester's sort of messaging to be that we want to keep people safe. And at the same time, we have all these other beautiful places like the Rotary Park. There's this little park next to Chasing Fireflies, but I don't know if there's any seating in there. Then we have the gazebo at Rewald and Son, and then we got the municipal park and the library benches. So my point is, if people are coming downtown and if there is some messaging that could be attached to it, that we could have a map or something so that people know from the restaurants, if they start getting filled because they have to keep people so many feet apart, 6 feet apart, you could say, hey, go to a map on the website and they've identified these locations through coordinates or a handout or something, because people aren't going to know where all these little hidden, like Easter egg activated or already pre-activated spaces are. Even though I would also encourage, of course, just a few extra. Just ask the chief, just a few. Namely the ones I were talking about, but I'm
Right.
self-interested. So I just thought it just covers so much with, we have the parks and we've always, people love Rochester because of that, and people don't always know about it. But once they know that we have, the river and the Paint Creek River is Paint Creek as well. I mean, there's even places you can stick a little bench along the river, but that might be something Chief might find non-pleasant. Anyway, That's all I
I
have
don't
to
think he's got anything. I don't think he's got anything against Paint Creek. I think that he loves it as much as the rest of us. So.
Well, I mean that
Uh,
it might be, they're very, the one I saw was a little bit past what, where Rewalds or Park 600 has their tent, because that's
Oh, I gotcha.
public land, and it'd be nice just to have a nice little cozy place you could send people to that would really help the restaurants, and kind of a different idea of explaining to people how you can use public spaces.
That'd be good for the after six lovers too.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
optic, the bridge
All
with
right,
the
check, please. I'm done. Meeting's over. I'm just kidding. Tony, please go ahead.
You know, Marilyn, I agree. People would use them. Like this morning, before I even opened the restaurant, there's a mother and daughter eating donuts on our picnic table, a guy on his computer, and another two ladies drinking coffee. They're looking for a place to go. And I love to see people out there when I pull up. But these extra, like Marilyn and I talked in the past about the tables by the pocket parks, people would use them, I'm telling you. Even when COVID was going on and I was closed, I would go there and our tables would be full with people eating from other restaurants. So these little extra dining areas, I think it'd be a great idea.
I agree. I think people would really enjoy them. It would give more people a reason to spread out in the city. And we're obviously going to keep them outside of our lockdown, and once we are in level 5 and moving forward. So I am all for this and think that it's a great idea. And I'm glad it's coming back to our agenda and conversation.
Good.
And I
Agreed.
like
Sure
to,
good.
one more thing, I was pretty excited.
Couldn't tell.
Well, it goes along with the Love Local,
I
and
know,
a chain of communication between people in the town. They might say to, it might be a way to tell shop owners and restaurants to say, hey, you know what? Somebody comes in and they could say, hey, there's like 12 or 15 places around the city that you might like to take a look at and enjoy and take a break, take a nature break, take any type of break. We all need one. So you'd have your little map, people would be talking about it. Yeah.
As long as we clarified the definition of nature break, I think that's important.
Yeah.
We could do a little handout at the shops, or people, to Christy's point, where we could, people could just pick it up at the, and other places to go hang. So anybody else have any thoughts? My take is I'm 100% behind this. I think that we've talked about this, and now at least my personal focus was to get the platforms out and get that sort of done, and we've done that. I think to great tribute to both all three, Christy, Nick, and Bob, for undertaking that first time ever project and getting her done, as they say. So I think this is the next logical step. I just wonder how quickly we can do this if we're going to dink around and have to, get put back. I mean, I hate this is just, it's painful for me to say as a CFO and a bean counter, but for us to go through sort of the, the review process and go through all that, I fear that we'll be, September, October before we get these things put together, and we kind of need to stick and move pretty quick. So I don't know, Christy, what are your thoughts on that?
I've got a couple on that. I think, because one thing I was looking at is timeline as we are going here. I mean, obviously this month we've only had our one regular board meeting. If you're comfortable with perhaps me working with Nick, and maybe if another board member wants to jump in, I'm kind of staring right now at Tony or Lisa, just because I think Bob's had enough of us for the hot minute. Maybe that might want to, give us a little bit of input, especially with Tony being chair of site development. And maybe it is a site development project. Have us
good point.
Real quick put together a list of potential table chair option kind of things, looks, whatever it is, and then fast track it back to the board as quickly as possible, whether it's next Wednesday or the following Wednesday. And then we could get a little bit faster. And by then we'd know how quickly we could try and find items that we can get quickly into town, so that we could have them on the street sometime in August.
Right.
In addition to that, with what Bob's been working on with us with the platforms, we do have one platform left that was not spoken for when everything was moving around. Boss Barber, it was decided they were only able to have one because that would fill their entire facade, and otherwise we'd be in front of Lidl's, which is not desirable. So we do still have one that I told Bob to hang on to for potential parklet. So we do have that as an option as well, that if we wanted to identify a potential location that we could put some appropriately social distance tables, chairs on that as well, to add another little fun thing and maybe put a little plant life or something to it. I know the Community Development Committee had some fun theme ideas with that one, so maybe we could pick one of those and go along with it. But maybe it is a site development project, as I'm kind of talking it through in my head, that they could get on.
Do you got to look at how quick we whip another one together, have a two spotter, and is there a place we could put a little parklet up? Obviously not on Main Street because we got yelled at for that, but
yes, we actually, the other parklet or the other deck that is available is the one that we are saving to use as the front porch, and that was going to go in the Thursday night market lot, and that was going to be our little stage and do things there. But we could easily repurpose that into just a straight up parklet. Is that possible to take the rail off that one?
Yeah, certainly. You could put two together if you wanted to make a double or two singles, but yes, we could. I'd really like to see it saved as the front porch thing because I think it's cool, but it's not my call.
And yes.
Well, how quick could you whip another one up?
Oh, probably a day or two.
Okay, well that's
We got it
that's
down
pretty
now.
good. Yeah, right. So have we given thought to where a good spot might be? I personally, my take is somewhere on Walnut, off the beaten path, but I don't know if there's anything on the east side. We ought to be thinking about our friends on the other side of Maine. So I don't know. Have you given that any thought yet?
I have, but Tony's got his hand up, so I'll defer.
Oh, sorry, Tony, go ahead. I don't
Carolyn,
have everybody.
refresh my memory. We talked about putting this up by the Pocket Park on University and Walnut. And didn't we talk a little about behind Rewald's building there by the river? There's a gazebo. And I think the Lions Club or the Leader Dogs for the Blind was going to help us, or they offered to help us. Where else did we look at? The other Pocket Park by Penny Black?
Yep, we did. And then in between, on the alley, in between Walnut and
Alley there.
yeah, that
Yeah, that's
little,
a nice
little
area by the
parkway with
parking
really
structure.
It's enclosed. You don't have the hot sun all day long,
Yeah.
and it really, it just is kind of bare. And and then Penny Black also, and I was thinking about those umbrellas needing to be taken up and down. I think that's part of the deal. I think that's what Nick or somebody would say. Then I thought maybe we could have it Wi-Fi, and then you could just kind of sit somewhere, and they would all go up at once and they all go down. But that sort of technological thing hasn't been
Those two pocket parks, I'd love to see them be used. And if we use that one pocket park with the donor wall or the wall of fame, it maybe to get some more people around it, where they would start putting some plaques up, buy some more plaques.
It's really it's the pathway by those two, because right in the donor park, as to the back of the donor wall, there's space, but in front not so much. But we could carry it down the alley, or not down the pathway, as Marilyn has shown in her drawings. The side by Penny Black, again, that one that Modette's sponsored with the semicircle that's there and the 3 benches. Again, I think we'd have to utilize the area connecting from Walnut back to the alley. That one's a little bit more narrow, so we just have to get creative of what and where on that one. Back to Ben's question, he was asking about parklet locations as we were talking about that. East side is a little challenging off Main just because the streets aren't as wide, and so I don't have like East Street doesn't have any on-street parking, things like that. Whereas if we did want to do something else on Walnut, as Ben suggested, we had identified a few spaces by the Masonic building, Masonic Temple, that would be under the shade there, and it's really kind of pretty over there. That might be one option. Or if we want to go past 3rd and do something in the 200 block, that might be desirable for some people. That's the street we used to do the farm to table on. It's pretty picturesque. It's kind of nice over there too, and that would get some love south of the 3rd Street, which a lot of people I think would appreciate.
The trees are really nice.
I'm sorry. The shade is going to be an important factor. All right, so it sounds like since Tony has been the one to speak the most on that, he's going to get voluntold to take it to site. You guys sort of figure out, come back to us next Wednesday with a plan. Give us 5 or 6 alternatives. It would be tentative budget, and then how quickly we can activate the space. And then we'll go ahead and do a meeting next Wednesday. Hopefully people can attend. But it's just, these things are going to pop up and we need to be able
I'll
to
just-
be flexible and stick and move. I'm sorry, Marilyn, please go ahead.
Hey, Tony, I'll get with you and
Great. We'll figure this out.
All
I'll
right,
just
cool,
be-
awesome.
I'll be your advisory subcommittee of this committee.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Okay.
Maryland's done a lot of the work already, so it actually should make it pretty easy. So this is super exciting, and this is just phase 2 of our, sort of approach to activate the outdoors. Tied to this, I did want to bring up about the social district notion. And I don't know if council had a chance to talk with Senator McMorrow about it, or if you guys had a chance to talk about it on Monday's meeting, but I know that it's been sort of on our radar as the DDA. To refresh everyone's memory, the notion of the social district is the ability for a municipality to grant an area of town contiguous to either contiguous or not contiguous, but to bars and restaurants to allow to-go alcohol and food consumption in cups that are labeled and so on and so forth. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you guys had a chance to talk about that, but I had talked to council member, a couple council members about it, just sort of in passing, and I didn't want us to get out over our skis too much if there wasn't a whole lot of thought on council as to take advantage of it. It has passed and it's out there and it's ready to go. I do know that Chief Steve last time had expressed his concerns relative to it, but that would be sort of our next step in maximizing the outdoor spaces, is to have that discussion. So I don't know.
Yeah, we have not had that discussion yet at council.
Okay.
And
So,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, before the meeting,
sir.
Chief Steve called me and said they quickly did research this afternoon, and Royal Oak, Ferndale, Birmingham, everybody except for maybe Ann Arbor is going to consider it, have decided not to go that route at this time. So Ann Arbor is thinking about it. East Lansing was maybe going to think about it, but all the other ones said no. That's what he just told me at 5 to 7. So he wanted me to pass that information on to you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's important. East Lansing, I can see, given their
the
what
college
happened at
town.
that bar a couple weeks ago. So,
Yep.
Okay, well, I didn't know if council had addressed it yet. Since you guys haven't, let's focus on getting these other outdoor spaces first, and then I guess we'll deal with this. I think that it could even be a phase 5 thing. I can just see, having to deal with social distancing might be kind of difficult. But if anybody else have any thoughts on the social district?
Does a
Drink-
social district, would we include more of the outdoor dining parklets? The reason I'm asking is I'm kind of set up to build more, but I'll be kind of on the bubble for a while, knowing whether I should keep everything together or disassemble.
Yeah.
It would have to be that kind of a area.
Okay. Yeah, I hate to tell you to just stay tuned, news at 11, Bob, but I think that's kind of the way it's going to work out with this one. So I apologize for that, because I know it's you need to be able to plan and have things ready to go. So I guess let's sort of keep it in the back of our mind. If something changes in the next couple weeks, we'll sort of be mindful of it. I think we'll get pretty definitive direction out of Lansing in the next couple of weeks, how things are sort of looking, and then maybe we just pick it back up at that point. Deal?
Sounds good.
All right, very good. Downtown Collaboration Studio update, Madam Director.
Yes. So studio, even though it seems like a lot longer, we've only officially been open there full time for 3.5 weeks. And it's been a great 3.5 weeks. It's been a very busy 3.5 weeks. So we are doing hours 10 to 5 there, Monday through Friday. However, starting tomorrow night, we are adding evening hours. So on Thursday nights, we're going to be open until 8. We're just kind of dipping our toe in the pool now that traffic is really seeming to pick up downtown. We wanted to take advantage of that, whether it's selling Love Local stuff. This week we kicked off Explorers Club, and we know that there are a lot of working parents that would usually come down on Thursday and Friday nights of sidewalk sales to pick up their Explorer kits. So we wanted to offer that opportunity as well. So we're trying out some evening hours right now. In our space, it's kind of evolving as we go. It started out as a location for merchants to come get their PPE. And so the fire department was able to get a grant for us. So they have extra masks and gloves that we're able to give out to merchants if they need them. When everything changed with the new mask ordinance, we quick manufactured posters for merchants to come and replace the window posters we had given them previously. So it's really nice that basically I send out an email and all of a sudden within 5 minutes, I have people on my doorstep saying, I got the email, I need to get this, I need to get that. We also discovered that we didn't know that our steps at the old office were such an impediment. A lot of people have very strong feelings about those steps, but that's another story. Also with the Oakland County kits, we have given out of the 400 to receive, we have given out over 350 of the PPE kits, which has been pretty great. And I don't know where the heck we would have put those to begin with, because they're big tubs of stuff, which has been really great for us. So everyone seems to enjoy that. What we are enjoying the most is people coming in to see us, both merchants, property owners that I haven't seen physically in years, but are coming to find us. Our display right now in the window is from Rochester Hills Museum. People love the heck out of it. I could have had a huge fundraiser if Pat was willing to sell the DNC letters that are in our window right now, but I keep telling people go away. You can't buy them. Paint a Miracle has an art installation with us right now, and they've sold a few of their pieces off the wall. And then Mr. Haig had dropped off his installation last week, which is amazing. Of course, if anyone knows Paul, he can't just do a little. He brought in full-on display cases and these vintage, it's just amazing. I can't even do it justice. So definitely come in to see us. But it's been a really good space for us. People are enjoying it. And most interestingly, that is the home of the Love Local brand. That seems to be what's bringing a lot of the general community in, the residents. They love the brand. They love to buy things that have the brand on them. And in the almost 4 weeks that we've been open, we've sold over $7,500 in Love Local merchandise. So that's nice. It's good, and it's helping us pay the rent. So I know there was some concern about having 2 rent payments, and we're taking care of that right now. So we have expanded the line, what Jen and Taylor are calling, we're going to have a sort of our key elements line, which they're calling it the OG line, which will have a few things, and then we'll start rotating in some new stuff. But we've added picnic blankets and dog bowls and journals and a lot of other fun stuff. So more to come, but we feel like once, and I know everybody talks about phase 5, once we can get there, start doing our merchant trainings. We already have a whole schedule lined up. I mean, we're ready to go. So we just need to get that next level so we can step up our efforts within the studio and doing more pop-up events, doing a grand opening, which I know we've talked about, both for boards and commissions and the city council, as well as for general public as a separate event. So it's a really good space for us. We're really enjoying it, and I think it's performing well.
It's fun. I've been there a couple times, and I know getting rid of all those boxes of PPE is really going to help out big time, because they were taking up a ton of space. So yes. It's unfortunate what they're for, but it's, it shows the main purpose of what we set forth. That's great. This discussion is going to morph into the studio lease discussion. So given that update from Christy, so thank you on that. This is coming out of Tony's handful of people's requests last meeting, that we sort of start talking about, all right, well, we're here now. Is this someplace we want to be on a more formal basis? If that's the case, what do we do with our current lease, that sort of thing. So I have no preconceived. I think you guys know that for my personal stake is I did not want this to get in the way of us being able to do really great things downtown, and have it become sort of a political hot potato. And I don't think it has. I think on balance, everybody feels like it's been a good investment for us. We're still unable, and it's not of any fault of our own, but because we're not at level 5 yet, we can't do everything that we had set forth, but we're absolutely ready to go as soon as the gate gets open. But I did want to entertain this discussion at the request of the board from last meeting with respect to actually moving down here on a more permanent basis. So Christy, I don't know if you would want to tee it off as to discussions with Marty and our current landlord and that sort of thing, and then we can just sort of take it from there.
Sure. So several board members have made the trip to the studio. It's been nice to see everybody, and everyone has been saying the same thing. And I'm not going to put words in Tony's mouth, but I think he's probably been the most vocal of saying we need to kind of get going if we want to do something. I will tell you, we already have a couple downtown merchants that are looking at our space because they really like, and honestly, all we did was paint the place, but it really made a big difference in the space. So we have a lot of people that are looking at the space right now. So if we like the space, we certainly don't want to lose it. We talked to our current landlord, Jim Holland. He stopped down to see us, and he knows that there might be an opportunity for us to make a move. He is not super excited about the opportunity to let us out of our lease. He is certainly open to subleasing. He wouldn't have a problem with that. Or if we did obviously find someone that wanted to take over our lease or sign a new longer term lease, he would be interested in doing that. On the flip side of that, when we had gone ahead and negotiated with Marty Seibert to get the temporary lease on the building, he had indicated that he gave us a discounted rate, wasn't sure if he did want us as a full-time tenant going forward, just because it was taking a retail space and making it, in his mind, a non-retail space. He stops by a couple times a week. He's seen the number of people that are coming in. He realizes that we aren't just a void of an office, that people are coming in and interacting with us. So it is different. At Tony's urging, I did just casually inquire if he would be interested in having us, what that would look like lease-wise, because I knew he was giving us a discount. It sounds like a very modest increase. He would be looking, he's in general terms talking about maybe a 3-year commitment from us if we were going to go down the road. Although again, this was just casual conversations, but overall pretty positive. So I just kind of want to throw that out there, and that's the only work I've done on it so far.
Got it. And then when does our current lease expire on
Current
the
lease
stairs that
at
Tony
our
loves?
stairs is May 1st is when our lease is up over at the office.
Okay, so 5, 4, so 9 months. Okay, all right, board.
Myself personally, I think it's a fantastic idea. I think it's a huge step forward. It really makes the DDA much more accessible to merchants and just general people walking down the street. I think it's a great move.
I agree, and I think you can make the difference in the amount of money you could raise.
Tony?
I was going to agree. I was going to say what Paul just said. I think she will make the money and then some by selling the new merchandise we're putting out. You're talking about pennies from one unit to the other unit. So I really think it's a no-brainer. I've been a huge supporter from this from the first time I walked in that studio. It'll be wonderful for the community. Wonderful.
Lisa?
Same here. I'm a huge supporter of it. I think it's nice to have just like a central hub, where you can just kind of pop in. There's no other central hub really in town. And like everyone's saying here, it's an area where we can all just kind of wander in and just be a community. I think it's great.
Anybody else? Candace, please.
I'm in full support of it. I love the idea of it being centrally located right off of Main Street. I just want to raise the question, has any other shops, retail spaces brought up any concerns about us selling our merchandise and being in competition with them trying to sell any of their merchandise?
They have not. And actually, we're selling some merchandise right now. We're selling from Desert Oasis. They have a secondary company called Ace High Grooming Products. We're actually selling their hand sanitizer in the studio right now. We bought it wholesale from them. So we're going to hopefully be doing some more collaborations like that. Moving forward, we'll be able to sell other people's products within the studio. But no, actually, most of the merchants are coming in. We give them a discount and they're buying the merch. So it's been pretty positive. We haven't had a few people asking us if we would sell it eventually. They're not in the position to do it yet, but once things are a little bit better, if we would sell them some things wholesale, that they could then retail Love Local things in their places at the same price we're selling them, just to get some people in the door. And we've been certainly open to that. One other opportunity that just presented itself, I don't know if anyone remembers last year, there was a group of merchants that put together a ladies' night out with the Women's Fund. I've been talking to the president and vice president of the Women's Fund for this year. They're planning on recreating that event, but they were wondering, we've been working with them on our large tote bags, that we would actually produce those and pop the price up $5 for that evening. They would come and use our community table as their headquarters to check people in and whatnot. And then for anyone who purchases a tote bag that night, $5 goes back to the Women's Fund. So there's opportunities like that. My dogs are right over here. If you hear that squealing, it's not my fault. Yes. So I think there's more opportunities where we can enhance the community through, some of the other fundraising that isn't just for us.
Good. I'm glad it's going in that direction and we're not having the objections. So that's great.
Yeah, no, they keep buying my stuff.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Marilyn Trent.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I think it's a good idea. I mean, with the amount of engagement that you're getting, and that the merchants, many times you'd said that you'd send out emails and you wouldn't always get an answer. And when you were saying you sent an email and people are showing up, I think it's a great. I mean, that's good news. And obviously COVID, but also making yourself more accessible. The location is more accessible. It has a brand that people can connect with. But I have another question. I do have a question. Is it open to the public? Like if anybody can walk in, how do you handle that? I mean, it could be you become more like a tourist center in a way, where people come in and they want the map, and then you're going to give them instructions, and you'll tell them about the next event, things like that.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening. We are a public space. Doors are open at 10 o'clock every morning. If somebody's knocking on the door sooner, we pop the door open. We kind of right now, because obviously we haven't fully moved down there because we think it's a temporary space. We haven't moved any desks in or anything. We have a nice counter behind there. So Jen and I usually social distance on either side, and then Taylor's at the community table. Whoever's not on the phone or working on something, anybody walks in, everyone's greeted. Hi, how are you? Let us know if you need anything, striking up conversations. So we're treating it like a retail shop. I mean, before I did this many years ago, I was in retail for 15 years. So I know how that works. So when you walk in, it doesn't feel like an office. We're a little different because we only have a little retail component, but we're trying to get more things into the space when people walk around, seeing like Paul's art installation. That's really taking people all the way to the back of the space with the screens that he provided and the display cases, things like that. So they're really walking around. And then once we can do more things in their pop-up events, things like that, I think people will be that much more comfortable coming in because they know what it is. But so many people are just wandering in, whether it's the sign, the Love Local, or the window display from the museum right now saying, well, who are you? What do you do? Oh, you're the DDA. Oh, you guys do this. Oh, you're Love Local. Yeah, we're all that stuff. Whatever you want us to be, that's us. But yeah, I mean, people come in, as I said to Ben a while ago, I said, you might see my evening productivity stoke up a little bit because my daytime productivity, depending on the day, there'll be, hour or two that I'm not, at my computer doing what I need to do because I'm helping customers and doing that what I need to do with the community. So it's just, it's sort of a big change for us, but not in a bad way. I think we're just all, adapting as everybody is right now. But I think it's really been really positive for us. We love talking to people and hearing things, and we're getting volunteers like crazy. We don't know what we're using them for yet because I can't do events and we don't know what we need at the studio yet. But that's another thing, to your point, Marilyn, when people are coming in, how are we handling that? It may get to the point that we might start having volunteers come in a couple days, a couple hours a day that, like from 11 to 2, which is our busier time, that they come in and, just handle sales or things like that so we can actually do a little work. But, we're working it out.
That's great. I mean, to have more community engagement, and people, what I have found with working with the Rochester pollinators, people love Rochester, and the volunteers want to do something, and you just have to make sure you have something for them to do, but they love it. And that's great. I mean, they really want to do something, and they feel they want to do something with the city, which is, you're given that opportunity. So that's great.
Yeah.
You're here. Mr. Mayor, please.
Yeah, I also think it's a good idea, assuming the numbers work. And, May doesn't sound that far away. So if we can work it out, I think it's a good thing. I have to say, I also kind of agreed with what Candace said was, I was curious if, are we competing with other businesses downtown? And, it kind of reminded me of the food truck issue back in the day where, some restaurants didn't really care for that. So, I mean, I think that's something to think about.
Yep, for sure. Or the snow plowing guys. Remember that several years ago, Stuart? Anybody else? My take, for what it's worth, I think it's a great idea. I do want to get clarity around what the lease exit looks like. I agree with the mayor that May is not that far away. So let's go ahead and start putting a little bit of meat on this bone. It feels to me like the community. My 12 years on council, we always talked about having a welcoming center or whatever on Main Street, and this kind of will serve as that, I think, or at least some function of it. But I think it's important, to Candace's point and to the mayor's point, that people understand that retail is not our first priority. It's actually what we use to fundraise to offset our other costs for this. So as long as we walk that walk and convey that in everything that we do, I think that it won't be viewed as competition, because it's really not. We're selling stuff that the ladies have created on their own. It's our own brand. It's not like we're buying stuff that, another store down the street is selling and selling it for $2 more a pop, right? So that's not, just as long as everybody's aligned that retail is not our number one focus. But Christie's fundraising is legendary. So this is just, to me, is just another arm of that. So I'm in full support of it. So why don't we go ahead and start talking to Marty to see what that looks like. I'm not optimistic that we would be able to sublet the current space because it's a short lease and where it's at. Absolutely try. I think you and Nick can if we can get out of it. I would suggest that whatever's in the current space there now, that you go through and thrift everything out and bring only a small fraction of it down to the new space in your move. So let's talk about what the numbers look like. I know it's just a few bucks more a month than what we're paying now, and the retail sales are offsetting the rent, so it's almost it's paying for itself right now. So let's go ahead and go forward. I just want to make sure that we don't get to the 2-yard line and then all of a sudden council has a burr under their saddle because they don't want us to do this. But I don't sense that's the case, and I'm really grateful that the mayor is behind us, and we may need some additional support from others in other positions to be also on board. But I think on balance everybody agrees that it's good to be on Main Street, and I know how much Tony loves the stairs, so maybe we'll keep the old space just so you can get some exercise going up and down the stairs.
Good.
Okay, Marilyn, please.
I think that, on the other hand, and I'm glad that Candace did bring it up, so the answer to any retailer could be the more the merrier. The engagement that Christie has had by the downtown brand to bring people into town enhances anything that they would want to sell or do a better job or a good job or the same job, but Christie and her team and the efforts of people supporting it, bring them downtown. And number two, to show, Christie didn't know how this was going to work out, but because of the engagement is what I'm looking at to make it worthwhile, because I was concerned about the cost and those type of things. That now you get more of people, like more merchants, more more citizens, more outreach. All of that would mean that it would have the numbers and the ROI, in my opinion, that I would be looking at for a measurable.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, Paul's, display is really a great notion to us doing sort of a spotlight, once a month. A merchant, a business downtown can set up a display within the space and, have that be sort of the promotion, our retailer of the month sort of thing, our guys are number one, the best at sort of that promotion, so they know what to do. I'm just grateful that everybody sort of seems to be aligned on the space, and I'm equally as excited. So let's go ahead and start putting some meat on the bone, and maybe next regular meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so from a priority standpoint, let's platforms, get those guys finished. The next one is the other outdoor spaces. We'll regroup next Wednesday on that. And then for the next regular meeting, we'll have a little bit better presentation for you guys and include some numbers and some options on moving down permanently. Deal?
Deal.
Good.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, so that's that. Downtown updates, Madam Director.
Still me. Okay. I have lots of updates as we go, both from my stuff, and then we'll start going into regular reports. So
Do I need to go get another beer?
You might. At least where we're going. Okay. So talk amongst yourselves. So the light poles, you may recall that we had ordered last fall. They are in and are starting to be installed around town. They, I believe, have almost finished all of West University with acorns. Then that whole street will be done. And then they're going to be filling in as many as they can on the east side, going that way with acorn poles. You may recall that we really focused this order on finishing off the hook and bells, which are the light poles that have the light pole disc with the bell light. Those are all, the poles are in. We're waiting on the hooks, which are supposed to be in either late this week or early next week. And then those will start going around town. So then at that point, all of the hook and bells will be replaced. We had the ones that were replaced back with Main Street Makeover. Now these will all be replaced. So then for the foreseeable future, we'll only be purchasing acorns. So, but this is almost, I think it's about 52 poles that are going up around town. So they started working on it last week, and it's just going to be for continual for the next couple weeks of them getting all of these up and installed. But they look really super nice. You may recall that this is with the new company. They really performed very well. Everything looks really darn good. So we're excited about those. Donor wall plaques, all the new sponsor plaques will be going up. I believe it's by end of next week. So we're looking forward to seeing all those out there. And I have located the outdoor box to put the donor wall items in. So if DPW doesn't do it, I'll just go do it my darn self. And
Well, Christy, call me.
sounds like a plan.
Mark Albrecht called me. He was all over. He's like, I only have one complaint. Those plaques are not up. What's going
Yeah,
on? So anyway,
they're
it's good
going.
to see it
So
gets moving there.
yes, so there's that. And then something that came out of executive committee, and this is something Nick had brought up about people are concerned that there isn't enough signage downtown to indicate that we are encouraging people to wear masks and social distance. And so there was some discussion if this is something that the DDA would like to take up and create uniform signage and place them on A-frames around downtown. And so the executive committee had asked me to bring that to the board tonight.
Actually, my recommendation was we TO it to Principal Shopping District and have them sort of deal with the art and that part of it. So I don't know if they were up for that or not, but that was my thought.
Yeah, they're not meeting till next week, but I just wanted to make sure everybody's good that if we want to go down, this was before the mask thing happened and all that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure everybody, and
Just,
I didn't, Nick, if the
yeah,
city
so-
is going to be doing anything in reaction to that or no?
No, but we're hoping you guys do.
Yeah.
So wait a minute.
Just really quick. Yeah, for everybody's, Stuart and Paul and I were on executive, so we sort of know, but Nick had expressed to us that there is frustration with people seeming like we're not enforcing the governor's rules with respect to masks, and there's only so much that we can do. So the suggestion was made to step up the politeness, as to quote Chief John. So we're going to put up some A-frames with sort of the rules of the road with respect to masks and social distancing, and try and get those up all over the place. We can encourage good behavior and morality, but we, short of having the police officers tasing people for not wearing a mask, I don't know what else we can do. So it felt like that was a good step in the right direction on at least trying to convey, the rules. So Paul, sorry about that. Go ahead.
What about Oakland County paying for it? What about them doing it? They came up with all the other nice stuff. What could they do? Because I'm sure they could do it pretty fast, and there's probably a lot of other communities that need this also. And it would take it out of our budget.
Honestly, I don't think it's going to cost us that much because we own the A-frames already. And our plan, in my mind, working with the team, is that we are going to do a rough layout to show PSD at their meeting now for next week. And if they all like that, we have a great source that we can get signs on the cheap and quick. So we could still get these out even by end of next week.
Okay, great.
If PSD blesses. I just worry county might be a slow plodding
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
journey.
I mean, I've seen Ferndale's had some really fun and funky ways to get after it. So I want us to be creative and fun about it, but also, people get the message, but also, maybe get a chuckle or a smile is also, everything goes better with, sugar and honey than it does with battery acid and a stick. So.
Yes.
Okay.
And I can tell you that, Chief, you can relate to this, I'm sure everybody. Not a great time to pressure any police department anywhere in the state of Michigan to be the enforcing agent on people screaming at each other. It just puts the police officers in a horrible position. They're already struggling with their identities now. And so the more compliance we get from the property owners, compliant residents, takes the pressure off the police. So the more we can do to communicate, make it very clear that we're all in this together is the better thing than trying to force police officers to go out there and stop people from punching each other.
That's kind of fun, though.
A sign. Don't punch.
Yeah, please don't.
Right, no punching. Please don't punch each other unless you're brother and sister. Candace, please.
I just have a question in regards to the signage itself. So Christy, you mentioned that we already have the A-frame signs. How many of those A-frames are we anticipating putting throughout the city?
So what we have that is not being utilized right now because we don't have any events going on, I have a good dozen that we can put out, and they're big signs. And we are talking about one per block. and then a little on the side street, so we could easily accommodate that. I know that, speaking of Chief John and stepping up the politeness, part of his job is also reclaiming illegal signs from the right of way. So many times I'm able to procure other A-frames available that we could add signs to. So I could certainly inquire as to what he might have in stock currently.
So the reason why I ask is actually you mentioned they're so big. So I was even thinking like, what if we, since we have them, this may not be the best idea, but I'll throw it out there anyways. What if we got more of like directional flimsy signs that you kind of stick into the grass or stick into like our flower boxes that are at some of our corners. So then it doesn't take up as much walkway in the actual sidewalks themselves. So then that way they're kind of behind our gated fenced area in our streetscapes and off of the sidewalks. And those are pretty inexpensive, but if we already have these A-frames, it may not be worth it.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, we can have a source for that too, that we can get them very inexpensively. That's what I did for the parking signs when I went around and placed those are little stake signs. We can get those with the stake for $9 total. So
Yeah, I'm thinking that might alleviate taking up more space on our actual sidewalks, since we are trying to encourage people to come down. We don't want to clutter up the sidewalks. We do want people to be able to get around easily.
I guess that would be up to partially our sign enforcer, Nick.
Yeah, no, I'll pay for the dang things at $9 a piece, so we don't have to. If we don't have to go out there and stop people from being.
Hey, we're a 501c3, man. We'll take your money.
No,
That's
I'll
good.
write it off.
Yeah, I mean,
problem.
I'm totally fine with what we call the election size signs. They're
Exactly.
like 24 by
And I
8.
am too. We're trying to balance clutter and that, but clearly this is needed and it's not cluttered. I think I'll have no problem allowing that temporarily.
Yeah, I suspect there'll be a fair bit of vandalizing of them, so buy extras.
There will be.
Yeah, we have lots of.
Okay, so I think got some good direction on that. I just would add to that, have we discussed hand washing, hand sanitizing stations on the street corners and stuff like that?
I talked to both the fire and police chief about it right at the beginning of all of this. They didn't seem as on board with it. They think it's just an opportunity for people to vandalize, knock over, do different things to it. I will tell you that honestly, up until this last week, we've had a big hand sanitizer station at the front of the farmer's market. I don't know if it was the governor's announcement on Friday or something. We've never gone through so much hand sanitizer in the month we've been open until we did like last week. It's been sitting there front and center. It would usually get used maybe a dozen times. It got used almost 100 times this last week. So I think people are back and forth about it. It's a lot more readily available now. So I don't know if it's as much of a thing.
It's a psychological thing, though. I think
yeah, no, I
people
totally
see it
get
out
that.
there, and
Yeah.
they think that we're taking it seriously, whether or not it's actually used or not. I mean, of course, we want to encourage it to be used, but to have them see that and see that, we're trying to encourage everybody to, show love for each other and, not punch each other because they're not wearing masks. I just would love to see, like on the street corners, at least on both sides. I don't know what they look like.
Yeah, the freestanding ones or anything are very hard to come by. They're not letting people
I can
ones
imagine.
unless they were already customers. So I can get hand sanitizer now, but the dispensers are what the problem is. But I can circle back with the two chiefs to see what their thoughts are and if they have come across any sources. Like I said, I can get sanitizer like nobody's business now. It's the dispenser part.
Maybe we can strap them to the street poles with pipe clamps. What do you think, Bob? Right. All right. Well, I wanted to have that. And then also too, if you need a mask, feel free to swing by the collaboration studio. We'll drive traffic in there. They can pick up a mask and then maybe buy something on the way out. So that would be good. Okay. So, so PSD's taking that up this week. That's good. Okay. What else we got?
I had one more on the downtown update, kind of circling back with what Nick was talking about with economic development. I've been talking to a lot of the businesses that really made an effort to try and do things during shutdown to try and bolster their businesses, as well as restaurants that we were a little bit concerned about, what was going to happen, where are they going? I'm having a lot of businesses tell me that they're either matching or exceeding last year's numbers at the same time, which is substantial, especially considering some restaurants are not even at full capacity, even with their outdoor seating. So people are coming downtown. I wish I could explain this in some way that makes any sense. But I just feel like downtown, other than the masks and the occasional plexiglass when you walk into a business, it feels as close to normal as possible right now. And I think the word's out about that, and people like coming down because they don't feel scared. They don't feel uncomfortable. They feel comfortable being there. And for the most part, I think they feel like everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing right now. I mean, we're having about, I would say 95% compliance with masks at the farmer's market, even though it's not required because it is outdoors and we can social distance. But I think people are really trying. And I think that's rubbing off throughout the community that people are really trying.
Yeah, I
So-
think people are sort of getting over the objection and just sort of accepting it for what it is. It sounds like a really great opportunity for you and Lisa to do some promotion and let people know how great and normal things are downtown and how businesses actually adapted and are doing well. So I think it's a fantastic story. It's great news.
That's a nice segue. We'll get there in a minute,
Oh,
actually.
uh-oh. She's nodding her head. Uh-oh. Okay, what do we got?
Yes. I don't know, Lisa, you want to go ahead with that?
We are going to actually be featuring this story on our show, Community Connect, next week. I'm doing a show on female influencers, and I thought Christy would be a wonderful guest for that show. So we are going to feature the studio and the whole Love Local brand in the way that the community just totally came together during the pandemic under some great leadership.
That is super
So we'll
cool.
send everybody a tune in.
Yay. I was so hoping you were going to say that. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
It pays to have the right people on your boards, people. Just
That's
remember that whenever you put these things together.
Yes.
Thanks a ton for that. We appreciate your help in that regard, Lisa.
Absolutely.
Nobody better getting the word out than you. Okay, so that is awesome. What else did I have? We got that. 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 I don't have anything else. You got anything else?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Oh shit. There you go.
Hang on.
That's right.
So at my executive director report, of course, after I type these two things, then all these other things kind of pop up. So happy thoughts. I don't know if anyone's noticed that on our social media. Those are all of our happy inspirational decals around town. The police department is going around and getting photos with the officers and posting them, which is kind of fun. So we're going to start sharing those out. There are shoe fees as well as selfies. That's where you get like the toes of your shoes and the photo, that kind of stuff. We're going to be doing some photo contests with that. We have 15 of those this year. They're pretty fun. So we're excited about those. And those just went out this week. Lisa already talked about her piece. The historic metal signs, you may recall that we talked about those a little while ago with our friend Pat McKay. Those are being fabricated and should be springing up around downtown very shortly. Hopefully I'll have a better update next time I see you. Those are still being fabricated for us. So we're excited about that opportunity. Explorers Club kicked off this week. That is our kids club that typically was paired with sidewalk sales, but with sidewalk sales, whether we're going to be in phase 5 or not at some point soon, we had already pushed those off to August anyway, because merchants were saying we're just getting back open. We're not ready for sidewalk sales yet. So we pulled the Explorers Club off of that. So kids have been coming into the studio to pick up their kits and their badges. We have over 25 businesses participating, over 32 badges they can earn. It's all free to the community, and we are getting less response than usual for many obvious reasons, but the kids and parents that are coming in to get their kits are really appreciative that we're continuing the program this year. So that's a lot of fun for us. You'll start seeing more photos of that. That just launched on Monday. Let's see, we talked about Happy Thoughts. I went ahead and we finally got our official logo and everything. We are officially a 15 consecutive year accredited National Main Street Community. Congratulations, everyone. So
round of applause.
Yes. So once we start meeting in public again, so later this fall, East Oakland County will come and do the whole dog and pony at City Council with a certificate and the whole shebang. But it is live on our website now. We did go ahead and send out press release on it as well, so we can start getting the word out on that. Let's see here. In Jenna's report, you may have noticed the Love Local loyalty cards that actually came out of our business development meeting this week, where we were talking about more things we might be able to do for the merchants, and talked about creating a quick Love loyalty card that merchants could offer different things. It's not just a flat discount. It depends on the merchant and what they'd like to do. And while I'm literally in the studio talking about collaboration, talking with the committee about this on Zoom, I'm seeing my email pop up from Jenna, who's sitting next to me with QR code generator, with this, with that. We literally we had our meeting at 10 o'clock, done by 11. By 11:15, we had a survey out to the merchants asking them what they'd be interested in participating in the program. Had our goal of at least 12 merchants by the end of the day. sent the card to the printer Wednesday night, had them in hands Friday afternoon. And at that point, now we have over 40 merchants participating, and we started giving them out to people on Monday with Explorer kits. So that just shows you a little bit of collaboration. Really cool program. It's got over 40 merchants participating, and it cost us with express shipping $140.
Fantastic.
Down and dirty. So it runs through the end of August. The QR code in the back, you just hold it up to your phone, and so merchants can change their offers if they want to mix some things up. But we're pretty excited. The merchants have appreciated having that opportunity. So that's what we try to do, as much quick hit stuff, and people are getting used to. You want to do this? Come to the studio, answer my email, do whatever, and everybody's really responding with that. So there's that. You may recall last month I talked about our Eagle project. Ethan Kent, who is the Eagle Scout, they were getting ready to actually move away from Rochester, but he wanted to complete his Eagle project here. And his Eagle project was to restore the gazebo at the Rochester Lions Park behind Rewald. They were able to get everything except they're very tippy top because apparently they have laws in the Boy Scout guidelines of how high of a ladder they can be on. So I've already been talking to DPW and the fire department to see if they could finish the last coat of white at the very top of it. It looks great. He added some benches to it. I'll actually forward some photos to the board as well. He did a really nice job with it, and he added some stain and things like that. So it's really good. So, and we're putting out a press release on that one. A letter went out from the city to all of the PSD property owners, letting them know that the DDA has paid their PSD for this year. Those letters went out at the beginning of this week. We already got a thank you note from one business or for one property owner. Next week, we'll send out a similar letter to all the businesses to make sure that they are aware of it as well. So we had property owners first, who are the taxpayer, and then into the next level of the business owners to make sure that everyone knows that they won't have to look for that bill this year. So that's pretty great. Let's see here. Winterland, you may recall back around goals and objectives time that we had gotten the call from ABC that we might be considered to be on the Great Christmas Light Fight TV show. Nothing has come to fruition on that yet, just for obvious reasons. They probably have better things to be working on right now. But we had talked about being 15 years of Big Bright, maybe stoking up the show a little bit, doing some new things. So our Christmas light company that was supposed to come and meet with me back in March is coming up from Indiana tomorrow to see us. So we're going to see what creative ideas we might be able to come up with. Obviously, maybe on a little bit more of a budget than what we had hoped back in the day. But see if there's something we might be able to do to add some new elements to the show to keep it fresh, be ready if ABC does suddenly materialize, and also just because it's 15 years, maybe to do something different. And then last but not least on my list, actually I lied, two things. We're doing a Love Local pop-up at the farmer's market this weekend. We're already there every Saturday counting people in and whatever. So we figured since we're there, might as well try and sell some merch. So we're going to do that, sell all of our non-breakable things because we don't want to take breakables down to the market. So hopefully we're going to blow through some fun stuff down there. We think dog bowls and water bottles are going to be big. So we're going to do that this weekend as well. And then you may have noticed in my report, the other TV that we're going to be getting access to is The List on ABC. This is a national opportunity. I don't know when anyone's ever seen The List. It's on at 7:30 on ABC. And it's a news magazine, more light pop culture-y kind of stuff. They picked up on American Express doing that new small business promotion that if you make a purchase of $10 or more at a small business, they'll credit you back $5 on your American Express card up to 10 times for purchases between now and the end of August. And so they were interviewing the global VP of American Express for the List. And Jimmy Rhodes, who's a correspondent on The List, also a Michigander and a good friend of mine, gave me a call and said, I need to talk to somebody who knows about small towns. So you're my girl. So here we go. So I filmed my spot with them via Zoom last week, sent them a ton of B-roll because usually they'd send a crew, but nobody's sending anybody anywhere. So sent a bunch of stuff, sent some of our under the radar stuff from Tom Dalton, whatever I had to send to them. So I'll let everyone know once they know when it's going to air. They're still putting the package together. It'll be in the next couple of weeks, but they are featuring the Love Local brand, hopefully, and the collaboration studio as well. So
that's incredible PR. That is incredible PR. I mean, that show is really well known in the entertainment community. That is a huge get. That's awesome.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So I'll keep you posted on that one, but it helps to know people. So
yeah, right. That's great.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well done as usual. Bar's always high and it just keeps getting higher. So keep at it. All right, so I think we got through, did we get through events and marketing? That was kind of
I
related to
think
that.
I tried
So-
to weave everything in. So
Yeah, so I think we're good there. The financial report for the DDA, 7C, I will say that our fiscal year has ended on June 30th. So the financials that are there are probably not completely adjusted yet. I know Anthony will probably get after it. So we'll get a revised year end here. I'm almost afraid to ask for it, but we'll get that and sort of review where we're at and find out how much money we have left. I have a running total in my head, but unfortunately, we do not have a dumpster full of $100 bills. We've been unable to invent that just yet. The never ending dumpster of $100 bills. So we'll get a revised 630 at some point. I would imagine in fairly short order. Anthony's usually pretty much on top of that. Biz dev, I don't know if there's anything to report other than the fact you guys are gonna be super busy this week, coming back next Wednesday for ideas on the outdoor spaces. On site rather. So either or, anything else that we haven't discussed on either
It's
of
that
those.
site walk, Christy, we talked about. We're going to try to do the site walk.
yep. So I had sent out, Blaine had asked if we were going to do a walk this week. So I sent a note out to site development. We weren't able to coalesce on a date because that 1 week was so darn hot. So I think since we're going to be meeting to talk about the outdoor seating, we'll see if we can hammer down a date for that as well. Typically, we send that out to the board and anybody who else wants to join along. Typically somebody buys donuts and we walk and it's nice. So
Walking off the donuts.
that's what we tell ourselves. Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right, cool. And then site dev, you guys are going to be working on that stuff for next Wednesday for us. Do we need to send a letter to our Eagle Scout friend thanking him for his donation? And yes, so let's
That
go
would be
ahead and do
great.
that. Yeah, no, please, let's do that. That'd be fantastic. I think that's about it. Any miscellaneous from the peanut gallery? No, don't everybody jump at once.
I told you
All right,
everything.
fantastic. All right. I know we've gone a little bit over our usual hour and a half, striving to not take up a ton of your time, but really appreciate it. I think this meeting has been super impactful, and I think we're making some really great progress. I'm super proud of you guys and your commitment and the actions that the board has taken to support everybody in these so weird times. We will make do. So we have a lot of stuff to get at next Wednesday. So we'll do a special meeting next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat station. Look for the meeting notice probably end of the week, Monday or something of next week, but it'll be just tied to the outdoor spaces and the presentation from site. Right?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Anything else? Speak now or forever hold your peace. No, we'll see. We'll be good next week. All right. Thanks a ton, you guys. Really appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe. Mask up, and we will see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Have a good night.